So welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, what we're going to be looking at is a pause menu or a pause scene or UI anyway. So it's going to look something like this or something like this. So whichever one, it's not going to be as fancy, but it's going to be something really basic and simple. And I'm not really great at art, but then I have something which we can put together. So that'll be inside Photoshop. So this is it. I think this should be it's going to represent a pause button. Then I designed also the play button. So I also designed the play button, and then there is what we're going to be using for a simple UI, which is this. So I'm not going to go over how to design this in this video. I will do it in another tutorial, but this is essentially the simple thing which we're going to be looking at. So we're going to go back inside Unity now, and then we're going to import those two PSD files from Photoshop. I'm going to go into my file explorer, and then I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to select, actually I'm going to bring this down and select these two. So these two should do, and then I'm going to bring this inside of my project panel. So it's going to take a while to load, so we're going to wait for that. And this is it. So it's downloading. Now inside my scene, all I have is a plane and a different kind of skybox, different from the one Unity gave us anyway, because I really don't enjoy looking at that. And as you can see, the only thing inside my scene is the plane. So if I should play this game, so with this game on, you can see that my cube, or my plane rather, is changing colors, and that's because of a cube script, or that's because of this plane script which I added to it. So inside the plane, under the inspector tab, we can see that there is a plane script on it, and if I should open this script, so this is what I have for the script, a private reference to the mesh renderer, and I'm going to get the component and change the material color to a random value at runtime. So back inside of Unity, all I'm going to do now is I'm going to select my my UI which I imported, go into this texture type, change it to 2D. Sprite UI, it's a single image, so nothing should be done there. Pixel per unit should be 100. I want it to be perfect, not rough. Mesh type tight, and I'm not going to change any of this, so I'll leave the default settings and apply this. Same thing goes for the menu. The menu. So same thing for the menu PSD file, which I'm going to be using as my simple UI to display the pause and play. So let's change it to a sprite UI, leave the default settings, and apply this also. So what we do now would be to go into a hierarchy, right click, select on UI, and then we're going to select a button. So under this same canvas, I'm going to right click, go to UI, and create a panel, and under the panel there will be another button there. This would be my resume button. Sorry about that, let me undo it. UI, another button. So this should be okay, and let me set this to not active for now. This button, I'm going to call it my pause button. And this is okay. So what, under the text, we're going to come to this, and then I'm going to select or actually we're not going to be using text since we already have a button. So I'm going to remove this text, and this pause button, I'm going to drag in my simple text image for the UI and place this here. So this should be okay now, and I'm going to swap this scene view to 2D so I can see it better, and drag this button up to somewhere. Since we're not arranging the game or anything, let me take a look at this. So it's okay. So let me also come to this canvas and just say something brief. So in this canvas, most of the time it's just there to display whatever UI will be available. As you can see, there's a canvas space for the render mode, whether you want it to be screen space, world space, or the camera only. We're not going to be looking at that. What I want to draw your attention to is this UI scale mode. So if you set it or leave it at constant pixel size, this size would be the same way whether if you should export the game. Let me hit shift space to maximize this. It's going to remain like this, even though in a small screen it's looking like it's almost full, but this is how it's going to be permanently. So to avoid that, what you do is you set the constant, change it from the constant pixel size to scale with screen size, and you can now change it over here, so we can scale it however we want. Let me get closer to this, so you can scale it however we want. Now I don't really have a reference resolution, so I'm going to use the default 800 by 600. If it's a PC game, you should probably use 1080 by what was it again? I think it's 720 by 1080 or something about that size, so you can check that out. That's not what I'll be doing. So let's drag this and set this to wherever we want. I'm going to leave it at the middle for now. We just drag it to make the button a bit bigger so we can press it well. So it's going to be in the middle of our screen, and this is not a position where you should be putting your pause. It should probably be at the top right corner, because this should be for live, so it should be somewhere here, but or it should be our back button, but that's not what we'll be looking at. I'm just going to run this briefly. So next would be our panel. I'm going to rename this to a pause panel. So this button should be my play button, and this also I'm going to remove the text, and I'm going to go back into Photoshop to find my play. So back in there, select this pop play, and then this would be my play. So I will set this active, and then set this, hide this. So let me save this now, and then I can go back to Unity and then re-import this again, just like I did before. And there is our play button. So let's also change this to a 2D sprite and apply this. And there we have our play button now. So let's select this and drag this over to the source image, and we have our play button. So let me set this active to see what it looks like. It's really small. Let me also scale this up using the rect tool. Almost the size of the pause button, so let's leave it about there. Under this same panel, I'm going to add in an image. So there's going to be an image up over here, and on this image I'm going to drag in my menu. So put this on the image, and then for this image I'm going to scale it to fill my screen. So you should do the same. Yeah, anyway, I'll find a way to get this to you if you are interested in this simple panel or this simple art, but I think you can do something better than this, so it's just best if you just try it or attempt it. Anyways, let me drag this so it will be available. And just to beautify this, let's also add a text. And this text, I'm going to call this pause. Change this font color to something white so it can be visible, and then increase this size to 32. Scale this up a bit, and we can drag this up here, so it should be about there. Nice. Now let me add D to it, so this will be paused. 2 and D paused. So this will indicate that our game is being paused. We can center this also. And this panel should be looking it should be okay anyway. Yeah, so this should do. And let me set this or deactivate this. My button is in the middle, everything seems to be okay. So we can now go ahead and create another C# script, and the name of this script would be let's say should I call this pause? So let's use pause and open this up. So inside the pause menu, I'm going to go ahead and copy this namespace using Unity Engine. I'm going to copy this and then duplicate it. So down below we're going to set this to .ui, and this should be okay. So let's see. I'm not going to be using any of these methods, so I'm going to delete my start and update. I'm going to make a public reference now, so this would be a public game object. Game object. This would be my pause panel. And then so I think this should be the only thing we're going to make a reference to, because or actually let me also set another public game object. So this would be my pause button. So I think these two should be okay. So my next method would be a public pause method. So this would be pause. I'm going to change this to pause with an uppercase. So this would be pause. It's going to be a public void. Let's not forget about that. Pause, and same thing down. This would be a public void. Resume. So inside this pause void, all I have to do is set my pause panel dot set active. I'm going to to set this to true, and my time scale, this would be set to 0, and then I'm going to also the pause button. Actually, it should be in the second line, so the pause button also dot set active. This would be set to false because I want to deactivate the pause button. So let me copy these 3 lines and paste it down here. So this pause panel, rather than true, it's going to be false. And this down here is going to be true. And my time scale will be set back to 1. So let me briefly explain what this is saying. I made a reference to a game object. So inside this public, it's going to show up inside of my inspector. So I'm going to add my pause panel to this, same thing as my pause button. So when I hit this, when I make when I give the buttons functions, that's on click, the pause method, what it's going to do is set the pause panel active. You can see it's true, and then it's going to set the pause button to not active, that is false, and then my time scale is going to be set to 0. So all things that are related to time inside of Unity, or time calculations, physics calculations, or anything which would be run, which would work at runtime using time, or any let's say calculation, will be paused temporarily. And then if it's set back to 1, it's going to do the opposite. It's going to play the game at a normal speed. If you set it to 2, it's going to make it twice, it's going to play the game twice that speed. And if you set it as a float value from point 1 up to point 9, it's going to have different effects, but it's going to be slower than in normal time, because the normal time is 1. So let's get back into Unity and see how this works for us. Let's clear this console, and I'm going to create another empty game object. So I'm going to create another empty game object, and I'm going to call this my let me say pause manager. I'm going to reset this transform and drag my pause script onto it. Should probably put this up here so we can drag the game objects which we are making reference to. First would be the pause panel, this would be it, and then the pause button, which would be this. So this should be okay now. And then before I forget, I'm going to give the buttons their various functions. So for my pause button, I'm going to drag this game object pause manager containing the script and add the function of pause to it. So this should work. And the other button inside of my pause panel, that's my resume or play button, I'm going to add another function to it. So um, so let's drag this into it, and then for this would be resume, and everything should be set now. So we can go ahead and test the game. Let's play this, and we can see that the game is working with this with our plane changing color. So let's press the button now, and we can see our pause button is working just fine. Play, pause, play, pause. So there is something wrong with it actually. So that's what we'll be doing now. You can see, let me set this panel active. So and once I do that, I'm going to scale this panel, which I probably think, let me undo this. So the image inside, I'm going to scale this up. So it's going to be somewhere, let's say around there. And this panel also, I'm going to reduce the size. So with this done, I can set this back to not active and play this game again so that you can see something. And when the game is playing, you can see that the plane is changing colors differently. So if I should hit the pause now, I used the time scale and set that to 0, but you can see that my plane is still changing colors, and that is going to be the topic for our next video. I'm going to outline 4 problems with the time scale and also their possible solutions. So if you want to know how to actually stop this thing from happening, even though your game is running and you're trying to pause it but it's not working, then I'm going to be fixing that problem in my next video. So thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave me a like and hit that red button to subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate that. Comment down below if there's anything more you want to see, and that will be all for this video. I hope I see you in the next one.